Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Let's kick off this hump day with a little Eastern Conference Finals action from last night, shall we? Game 1 between the Knicks and the Cavs. This one was a doozy. It didn't start out that way, however. Let's pick things up here in the third quarter. Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs. Mitchell creating the steal, going the other way, finishing at the basket. Cleveland up by 8 at this point. Few possessions later, the Knicks in transition. Evan Mobley with the block. And he's rewarded on the other end. James Harden, good find. Something we don't say too often anymore. Mobley finishing at the other end. Mike Brown seeing enough. Calls timeout in the third quarter. Cavs up 9. It's their largest lead of the game at that point. Now under 2 minutes left to go in the third. Mitchell again over Jalen Brunson. Cavs are up 16 as we enter into the fourth quarter here. Thinking this one's over. But oh no. Hold on a minute. Jalen Brunson takeover time. A couple of really, really tough baskets. Down by 10 at this point with 4 minutes left to go. Triple covered in the lane. Knicks down by 8. 94-86 with 3.5 to play. Brunson can do it from deep as well. Drills the 3. The Knicks are only down by 5. They were down by 16 in the third quarter. Down to the final minute 20. Corner 3. Mikal Bridges buries it. Patrick Ewing, a big fan. One possession game here, under a minute left to go. And who else? Landry Shamet drills the 3. We're tied at 99. New York with a monster comeback in the final quarter. But James Harden, he wasn't done just yet. A little step back 14-footer. That one's pretty. 2-point lead for Cleveland. Just over 20 seconds left to go. Jalen Brunson, so good. Finished with 36 points. 101-101. Now Cleveland with an opportunity to win it in the final seconds. Sam Merrill, the shot, rolls in and out, so we will go to overtime for a second straight night in the NBA playoffs. In OT, 4 minutes to go. The Knicks are up 2 at this point. Brunson again knocks down the left-handed floater. Correction, 38 points for Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks are up 4 here in OT. Add on to that, OG Anunoby, Knicks up 6. 107-101, and then the final dagger from Shamet. MSG going wild. Madison Square Garden. Somehow the Knicks came away with a win. 115-104 in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Been a good start to the NBA playoffs here in this round, I should say. Oklahoma and San Antonio, good run yesterday. So 115, correction on the score there, 115 to 104. New York getting the win. Donovan Mitchell finishes with 29 points. Evan Mobley, James Harden with 15 for Cleveland. Over on the New York side, 38 for Jalen Brunson, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. And again, late in the game, he just took over, doing it from all levels on the floor. He was impressive to watch. Bridges with 18, and our old friend Cat had a double-double, 13 points, 13 rebounds. To put what happened last night into perspective, entering the night yesterday, teams that were up by 22 in the fourth quarter, which Cleveland was, were 594-1 over the last 30 postseasons. The Knicks were down by 22 at one point and somehow found a way to win. trivia answer for you at some point in the future. The only bigger fourth quarter playoff comeback in the last 30 years. I'll let you take a second to guess because I had no clue. Clippers rallied from 24 down against Memphis in Game 1 back in 2012. Really impressive. So, where are we at right now? San Antonio's got a one-game lead, and now New York with a one-game lead, both in the conference finals there. Dom mentioned it yesterday, and I will echo it. I think the San Antonio-Oklahoma City series is the pretty much the NBA Finals. I don't know how any of these teams that we saw last night, Cleveland or New York, is going to match up with Wemby or Oklahoma City. I'm leaning towards San Antonio making it towards the finals, maybe because they knocked off the Timberwolves, but I don't know how anybody beats that 7'9", 8'1", however tall he is, Victor Wembanyama. I don't know how anybody beats that. But we'll see. Game 2 of that game coming up later on tonight between Oklahoma City and San Antonio. But a good one last night. NBA, 2 thumbs up over the last couple of days. It's been pretty impressive to watch. With that being said, we say hello, good morning, and welcome to this Wednesday morning edition of Hot Mic. Thanks for joining us, however you're doing so, on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, also streaming on Inform.com. No, I am not Dom Izzo, if you couldn't tell by now. Dom is out of the office today. He's actually chaperoning a field trip. So he's busy with that. Sam Getzinger here with you. It's been a while since I've been in the big chair, but it's good to be back here on a Wednesday morning, making a quick stop here today. Once this program is over, myself and a whole lot of our team, if they're not there already, we're leaving later on today, and we're making our way to Bismarck for the North Dakota State Track and Field Championships, which is over at the Community Bowl. We're looking forward to that. We're broadcasting the whole shebang, which starts tomorrow, Friday, and, of course, Saturday, which is always a fun day in Bismarck at the Track and Field Championships. A lot of trophies to hand out on Saturday. So we'll give you the schedule. We'll preview what to expect this upcoming weekend later on in the show. So be sure to stick around for that. We'll give you a full breakdown of what's happening coming up in just a little bit. For those that are wondering, of course, we're starting another big state tournament stretch. We got track and field this week, state softball, state baseball next week. It's our first stretch of state tournaments since the winter when we had that gauntlet of hockey and basketball and a whole lot going on. I still have my concoction of cough drops and hot water ready to go. I still have a majority of the 2 bags of cough drops that a lot of people dropped off, which I appreciate. Thank you so much for that. They're going to come in pretty handy over the next couple of weeks, again, with track and field this week and baseball, softball coming up next week all over the state of North Dakota. So this is a fun time. It's a busy time for our entire crew, but it's a super fun time that's right around the corner. With that being said, we got a lot to get to today. We are loaded wire to wire, so it's going to be a fun Wednesday morning. Speaking of fun, what was not fun was watching the Twins last night. Twins and Astros back at Target Field for Game 2 of the series. Here's what happened yesterday evening. Of course, Minnesota took a rainy Game 1 the other day, 6-3 over Houston. But yesterday, a little calmer conditions, still not a lot of people in the crowd. This is how the game started. In the top of the first, 2 batters in, Isaac Paredes drills a 2-run homer off of Zebby Matthews, and really that was all the offense you were going to find for a majority of this game. Houston up 2-0. We go into the bottom of the 6th. Austin Martin a flyout. Jason Alexander goes 6 scoreless innings. Who's Jason Alexander? Had a good outing for Houston. That brings us to the bottom of the 8th. And some life here for the Minnesota Twins. Josh Bell with a single to right field. That will bring in Byron Buxton. Tip of the cap to Josh Bell as of late. He's been the only sign of hope for the Minnesota Twins. Big fan of that. 2-1, Stroh's leading as we go to the bottom of the 9th. And this is how things would end. A pop-up into foul territory. So Houston would come away with a win in a pitcher's duel, if you will. 2-1 the final score. Series is now split at 1 game apiece. Minnesota will have an opportunity to go for the series win coming up this afternoon. Just those 2 runs in the first inning off of the home run for Houston. They would go scoreless the rest of the way. They only had 5 hits in the entire ball game, but the Twins couldn't generate any offense to help out Zebby Matthews, who had another solid outing on the mound. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and 6 strikeouts, but just couldn't help him out. Josh Bell tried. 3 singles, 3 for 4 in the day with a run batted in. Byron Buxton a pair of doubles as well. So the Minnesota Twins now 22-27 as we go into Game 3 of this series coming up this afternoon. Joe Ryan back on the bump for Minnesota. He'll go up against Mike Burrows. You'll look forward to that coming up later on today. Of course, we'll have Corey Provis coming up on Friday to recap this series. Also, a lot of news over the last 24 hours from the Minnesota Twins. Royce Lewis down to AAA. Ryan Jeffers is now on the injured list. We'll dive into that a little bit more in just a little bit. Before we head into our first break here on this Wednesday morning, there's a little bit of news I wanted to pass along today from last night. It's an update to a story that we have been covering since the beginning, since April. And that's Shanley basketball, their programs. They have found new coaches for the upcoming season. Now, yesterday, the school announced that Tim Jacobson will return to the bench and become the head coach of the girls program over at Shanley. And assistant coach on the boys' side, Dan Savageau, will move up to the head coaching position for the Shanley boys. Now, a lot of people will remember the name Tim Jacobson, very familiar here in the Metro, led this Shanley team back in the day to 3 straight Class A titles, I believe from 2013 to 2016. He also had a 70-game winning streak under his belt as well. He was there for 10 years on the girls' side, and then he also won 2 titles with the boys as well. He went on to Davies and then later resigned in 2020 after COVID shut down everything. Now, Dan Savageau on the other side, he assisted Stephen Weber for the last 3 seasons. So there's some familiarity there with that hire in the Shanley boys basketball program. To fully catch you back up to speed on this story, since it's been a little bit since we chatted about it, these two replaced Stephen Weber, who I mentioned, who was the boys' head coach, and Beth Maher, who was the girls' head coach for a long time. And what we have reported and have confirmed is that a group of unhappy parents played a part in the decision to change direction and leadership with those 2 programs just 2 weeks after both of those coaches were given proficient ratings in the offseason by the athletic director. And then 2 weeks after that, they were let go. It's a tough deal. We've shared our opinion on it. It's a sad reality that's happening across high school athletics all across the country. Beth Maher did respond on social media yesterday after hearing the news. This is what she had to say, and quote, "While I'm disappointed that a new hire was announced before my appeal process was officially concluded, I want to sincerely wish the Shanley girls basketball players the best moving forward. I'm proud of what we accomplished together over the past 3 seasons and grateful for the relationships and memories built along the way. Thank you to the many people who supported my family throughout this emotional season. Your kindness meant more than you know. At this point, I'm ready to move forward and focus on what's ahead." So that's what Coach Maher had to say after seeing that news last night. Wish the best to her and to Coach Weber as well. And personally, I don't know Coach Jacobson or Coach Savageau. I look forward to getting to know them as we get closer to the upcoming season. And I wish them the best. You hope that Coach Jacobson can find the success that he had in the past, winning all those championships. He's got a really good roster that's had some success in the past. I hope Coach Savageau the best as well. Hopefully he can turn around a program that was 10-56 over the last 3 years. Hopefully he finds some success as well. But what we do know is that those two coaches from the outside looking in are walking into what seems like a tough situation. It's not going to be easy given all the emotion that has happened over the offseason. We'll see if that carries over into next year or not. But hope Coach Tim Jacobson and Dan Savageau the best as we move forward. But there's an update on that. I believe Dom will have more in the near future, more on that updated story out of Shanley High School. With that being said, as I mentioned, we got a lot going on today. We are loaded with a lot of great guests on this Wednesday morning. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, our guy Drew Trafton will join us. A lot to chat about with him. World Cup's right around the corner. Seahawks schedule came out, and also Montana's got some changes coming to their field. A lot to touch on with Drew in just a little bit. A rare Mike Mcfeely sighting on a Wednesday morning today. Wasn't able to make it yesterday, but he'll join us at the bottom of the hour here on this morning, on this Wednesday morning. And then an exciting hour number 2. We're talking North Dakota High School track and field with our newly minted track analyst, Darrell Anderson, Hall of Fame coach out of Bismarck, longtime coach for the Demons. He will join us and we'll chat about this upcoming weekend in just a little bit. And then to help wrap up the show at 10:35, Alec Ausmus, our friend from KSTP down in the Twin Cities, will join us. And we're talking a lot that's happening in the Minnesota sports scene. So all that's coming up on this Wednesday morning. Hot Mike will roll on after this.
Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
Here he is, Drew Trafton, joining us on this Wednesday morning.
Hey,
Great
Sam.
to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
See you. Yeah, it's been since the draft.
I think so. I think so. How did it all work out for you guys?
We did okay. I was pleasantly surprised. I think they addressed the needs and they did it in a way that made sense to me, at least.
Yep.
How'd you feel about the Colts?
I for not having a first-round pick, I liked it. They went linebacker heavy. If I remember right, they got rid of Zaire Franklin, which was a big loss, and I think they rattled off like 3. Yeah, Eric says thanks because he went to the Packers. We rattled off like 3 linebackers in the draft, and I think the Colts do so well when they don't have a first-round pick, they can make it up in the back end, which I think is a win.
Well, if that's a position that you're drafting consistently throughout the draft too, like that there always seems to be depth there because it's just like people don't spend the capital on that position normally. And so you can get like really great value for you can get Hall of Fame draft, a Hall of Fame linebacker, 5 rounds into the draft. Like it's kind of cool.
Speaking of the NFL, I was looking. I totally forgot schedules were released, and Dom, I'm not a big schedule guy. So are you huge on this?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of Seattle's schedule? It's my first time looking at it.
I refresh my feed. Well, the thing is, and Dom and I will joke about this occasionally. Like the entire schedule probably like 5 or 6 hours before it comes out. I like their schedule. I wasn't a huge fan of them starting out with the Patriots, the Super Bowl rematch. It's just kind of blasé to me, It's like you had the Bears out there that could have been a really good matchup.
Yep.
There's a lot of intrigue with Caleb Williams going into the season, but that's fine. It's like you just get it out of the way. Sorry, Eric has a question.
Eric, what do you got here? What's your question?
It goes off your schedule. What are your thoughts on starting on a Wednesday?
Yeah.
So being on NBC with the Australia game, what are your thoughts?
So, and that actually leads really well into my next point. So, since it's the first game of the season, I'm fine with it being on a Wednesday just because that gives you that puts you so far ahead when it comes to rest differential for the rest of the season because you build in, they're not playing again for 10 days.
Right.
They get a mini bye after that 1 week.
It's not like that Thanksgiving game or the day before the Thanksgiving where they're having that on a Wednesday. Yeah. That'll throw things off for teams.
For sure. And plus they're at home, so they don't have that, they don't lose any of those rest hours to travel or anything like that. And you look throughout their schedule and just because of the nature of this, they're the Super Bowl champs, so they have it's like 6 primetime games that they have to deal with throughout the season.
7 of them.
7 primetime games.
It must be nice. Colts have half of one, maybe.
I was looking at it and I'm like, I buy Sunday ticket, so I can watch all their games, and I'm like, I'm only buying it for 10 games at this point. It's like it feels like my the value just
exactly.
dropped
it just goes
considerably.
down.
But I do like their schedule a lot. And that rest differential pays off at some point. They have counted it up. It's like 9 extra days of rest compared to like the mean average if you were to play like Sunday to Sunday throughout the season. So it's like that's another bye week that you basically get just because of that. And we're going to start seeing that in the NFL, I think, more commonly because we're going to 17 games, probably 18 games.
Right.
And
got to manage that somehow.
We're playing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and it's like, so that's going to factor in on the rest. And for the Seahawks, that really dings them on the back end of their schedule.
Right.
Like that violently shifts, but overall they've got a really good, you can't complain about getting an extra bye week built into your season.
Exactly. You get rewarded there a little bit. And it'll be fun to watch the Seahawks. Of course, Gray Zabel for all the North Dakota State fans. He's still out there, and we'll see if they can make another run. I wanted to touch on this. You sent this to me yesterday, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Your Grizz, your Montana Grizz, they're changing their field. They're adding... I don't know. Are they adding new turf or just painting onto it?
It's new turf.
Okay, so they're putting new turf on it, which I think it looks great.
They're tearing.
We're seeing sponsorships now on the field level.
Yeah. So the last time they had new turf was about 10 years ago, and so that's about the lifespan of like that. That turf that they're using right now is about 10 years. So they replaced it, and if you remember back in 2024, the NCAA made that ruling that you can now have sponsorships on the field at certain points of the field. And so this is the first time that they're doing that. They're partnering with Montana Knife Company, which is like this new upstart company that's been around for like 5 or 6 years now, but it's like a huge deal. And it's actually headquartered in Missoula, but it's gaining a national traction there. And then so they added that in, which is cool. They have on the sides there, you can see on the sidelines that little dot. That's on the 37-yard line, and their legacy number at the school is 37. So they always have a native Montana player wear 37.
That's right.
And so that's their big thing there. And then the other cool addition, I think, is on the sideline. So you see Up With Montana, that's on the home sideline. And that's their school song starts Up With Montana, Down With the Foe are the first 2 lines, and then Down With the Foe's on the away sideline.
I love that idea.
Which is really cool.
I think that's my favorite part of the whole deal here. Obviously, the 37 is super cool too. I see it now on the white part of the sideline.
And then apparently, like the last huge difference with this one is the Prowling Grizzly, which is what that logo is called. The Prowling Grizzly is outlined in white, and on the current. And on all previous iterations with that logo on the field, it's just been the logo.
So it's going to pop a little bit more.
It's going to pop a little bit more, potentially. So it's and that's a cool... I like it on the 50. Like it's a cool logo to have on the 50 on that field, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I think all around. I like the change. I think the sponsorship logo, sometimes it's tough with that because it doesn't match
it doesn't match the aesthetic at all.
That one does.
Totally.
They're going with school colors, and I think the logo fits in there well. I really like the school song on the sideline. I'm curious because I've been seeing this now. Did you see what Boise State did when they replaced their turf?
Didn't they sell off?
They
like
sold
huge
it off,
chunks of it?
And it went right back into the NIL fund. And for those that bought it, they could get it. There's an option to get it professionally placed into your home. I wonder why aren't more places, because turf you got to replace 10 to 20 years or something like that.
You see that with basketball courts all the time. And it's like you can buy pieces of the Final Four court or whatever, and they should totally do that.
Would you buy a piece of?
I buy a little, maybe like a square yard or something of it. I don't know. It depends on how.
See, I'm thinking. I got about the same thing of the Fargo Dome up on my desk, and they were just handing those out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would pay for that, especially if it's just a green portion of the turf and doesn't have any logos on it or anything. But if it's a way to make money, it makes sense.
You knew, this came from the 46-yard line where X kicker made this, or this reception, like that'd be
unless
pretty cool.
I had a full or the majority of the center logo. I don't know if I'd buy field turf, but maybe that's just me. A couple of minutes left here with Drew. I wanted to touch on this because you're the expert on this, and I'm a fake it till you make it guy. I cannot with the World Cup. I know absolutely nothing about the World Cup.
That's fair.
I found out it starts in June.
It does.
Is that right?
We're less than a month away.
Can you believe that?
3 weeks away.
It's also in America, huh? Is that?
It is. It is in the United States.
That's crazy.
Yeah, North America. Canada will have some games. Mexico will have some games. The vast majority will be played in the U.S.
Are we winning this thing?
No.
Not even a question?
I mean, you never, like, the World Cup is weird. Soccer is a weird sport. Like, you have tournaments where, like, in the European Championships, you'll have years where Greece wins. Like, they won in, like, 2004. And it's like, and they came out of nowhere. And this is an expanded tournament this year. So the World Cup finals, which is what we're going to watch here, is like they've expanded it to 48 teams. It used to be 32. And so you can get to the knockout round by finishing third in your group. It used to be you had to finish in the top 2 to go into the knockout round. The U.S. is probably 14th, 15th in the world rankings right now.
Why are we so bad?
It's not bad. When you consider nations like Italy that have won, 4 World Cups aren't even in the tournament. And so it's just that we can't break through, and that's been the conversation with U.S. Soccer for a long time. It's like, what are we not doing right? Because we have by far the most youth players in the world starting, playing soccer just by numbers. But it's like, how are we not developing them? How are we not developing the talent enough where we end up with the most elite product on the field? I think some of it has to do with the fact that the best leagues in the world and the best systems in the world are overseas.
Right.
And so, and the way that the international calendar is set up, the way that, you're having your players that, are playing in these other domestic leagues and making far more money. I mean, they're making so much. I mean, money that almost dwarfs what our athletes here make in these professional leagues coming back home, and they're there for 7 days, 10 days. It's like, and you get in these camps and then you play. And there's just not a lot of that. You just don't have that consistency. And so you need a really strong program there. You need a really strong manager there. You need very clear expectations for each player. You need to find the right flow of the 11 that you're putting on the field. And it is a sport that's entirely about flow of play. And so you miss that chemistry, you don't have it, it's not there. Now you could argue, okay, so the European nations, the South American nations, Brazil, for instance, their players are, in the same boat, where they're coming back overseas and playing. It's like, so what are we missing here? And so it's, I don't think this is going to be the year for us. I think it would be really great if they made a quarterfinal.
Okay.
If they made the semi, that would be just
unreal.
And at that point, you're playing with house money.
Party in the streets at that point.
Yeah, totally. Totally. They've got a winnable group. They have a group that they could absolutely win, and they have talent that could take them deep into the tournament. It's just those things just haven't seemed to align. When we're seeing this team in the warm-up matches, progress toward this tournament. They're not flowing the way you'd like to see them flow. But we've had examples in the past of teams that have looked awful heading in or looked fantastic heading in, and they've you get the opposite result. And so we'll see what happens.
Who's the favorite? Did you say?
I believe it's. You could look at Portugal, France, Spain. Okay. England is very high up there this year too. So you've got the usual suspects, but I would say I'm going to ride Portugal. I think
Portugal,
which is always the kiss of death. Everyone always picks Portugal. They're always they're like the Ohio State of if you compare them to college football, where it's you're probably in the neighborhood, but given the year, it's they might just be awful, and or not awful, but they'll fall short of expectations.
All right. Well, I got a lot of studying to do then. June 11th through July 19th, I guess, is the World Cup. Drew, I appreciate it. Thanks for the lesson there. You're a busy man. I'll let you get back to it, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be here next week.
Good deal. Drew Trafton joining us on this Wednesday morning. We'll step aside when we come back. Mike Mcfeely, a special appearance on a Wednesday. That's coming up next.
Oh, It's Mr. Mcfeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting. Yeah.
Mike's appearance on Hot Mike is brought to you by Sunset Lanes of Moorhead.
That's pretty slick. He's a sponsored man now.
Eric, if you wouldn't mind just cutting away from me for a second here, because I'm about to start weeping out of pure joy and happiness.
As you should.
I mean, that was...
As you should.
That's fantastic.
That was awesome.
That's fantastic. I'm a sponsored segment.
Dom's been
on the television.
Can you believe that? You know what I would love to see?
I've arrived.
When are you going to start making commercials for Sunset Lanes? I think that would do numbers.
I could work in my great acting skills, plus my television skills, plus my boyish good looks, and my fantastic voice. All of it just could go into Sunset.
Package.
Oh, my God.
Full package
Just
there.
Fantastic.
I see apparel, T-shirts, billboards, the whole 9 yards.
First of all, thank you to Sunset Lanes.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Darren for sponsoring this segment each week on Dom's show. At another point of my life, I hosted a daily radio show for 3 hours a day, which just about drove me into a grave before the age of 55.
Don't blame you.
Before the age of 50, probably. Had lots of cool sponsors there. Had some great, resorts and just some great, cool sponsorships. Sunset Lanes is the epitome of the greatest sponsor that's been associated with me on a broadcast entity. Just fantastic.
Wow,
It sums up everything I love about America right now at this point.
I had no idea what to expect there, but I don't think it could have came out any better with the bowling ball and the voiceover. I love it.
So one last thing.
Yes.
One of the reasons this came about was because, this is my pitch, and I'm not being paid anything directly from Sunset Lanes or WDAY, but $40 you can bowl the whole summer. $40.
That's a good deal.
$40.
That's a good deal.
I mean, I bought mine. It's from May 1st till August 31st. I bought mine, I think, on like May 2nd or something. With the way the weather has been, I've way gotten more use out of the $40 membership than I've ever. When the weather turns nicer, we'll see.
Right.
But the weather has been so horse bleep for the last 3 weeks that I've been going to, instead of going to the golf course or going.
I was going to say, it hasn't been a lot of fun to golf lately.
No,
yeah.
I've just gone to Sunset and rolled
$40, that's it, huh?
Take a guess on how many games I bowled, not yesterday, but on Monday night. How many games did I bowl at Sunset Lanes? Just take a guess. I showed up at like 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay. I'll go 5.
No, I'm close.
Higher?
Yes. Yep.
Is it 10? Higher than 10?
Yes. Yep. That's right. 13 games.
13. I was going to say 15. Okay.
I rolled 13 games.
Yeah, Eric's asking how the shoulder feels.
I'm actually getting in bowling shape now. So
what is bowling shape?
Well, just use the muscles.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Yeah,
how did you play though? That's
I didn't talk about that.
Okay. You got 13.
That's awesome. Got my money's worth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great endurance.
Had a couple of cool drinks, and it was fantastic.
My last thing on Sunset Lanes, I've been there a handful of times. I think it's one of the better bowling alleys in the area. Good pizza. I like.
They have good food. Yes, good pizza.
I like the pizza they got there.
Not that I would know, but they do sell bottles of Grain Belt Premium, I've heard, through the grapevine for $3.50.
That's a great deal.
Yes.
That's a great deal.
That's just what I've heard.
All right. Well, they're getting their money out of this, that's for sure. We can stay here for the next 20 minutes.
No, we can. Let's talk sports.
Absolutely.
Sports.
Speaking of which, I was reading your article that you put up on Inforum last night, and I like how you mentioned it between the Mountain West and the Pac-12, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. The realignment grudge match that they have been having.
Yeah, how about that?
Over $155 million. For those that haven't been following this until you put it out, what can you break down on this?
Well, I mean, it all started a couple of years ago when the Pac-12 started to dissolve because all the big schools went to bigger conferences and left behind Washington State and Oregon State. And so the Pac-12, in order to survive, went and tried to steal some schools from the Mountain West, succeeded in getting 5 of them. And as is the case in all big-time FBS-style athletics, there's an exit fee to leave a conference, and there was also penalties with the Pac-12 for quote-unquote poaching teams. And so the exit fees for the 5 teams that left were $20 million each.
Yeah.
That's $100 million.
That's a lot of money.
The other $55 million was in poaching fees because they took 5 schools from the Mountain West, and there was like a graded dollar amount for how many schools they were going to steal. The Pac-12 had agreed to all of this. The schools in the Mountain West that were getting stuck with the exit fees, they literally signed contracts saying, yep, we'll pay $20 million if we leave the Mountain West before this date. When push came to shove, the Pac-12 and the schools that exited, which were what? Colorado State, Fresno State, Boise State, San Diego State, and Utah State.
Yep. Nailed it.
When push came to shove, they said, well, wait a second here. That's a lot of money. And the Mountain West said, tough cookies.
Yeah,
you signed the contracts. They took Pac-12 took the Mountain West to court. It was this long, drawn-out process. They couldn't get a mediator to settle it. It was going to go into 2027. I think both sides looked at the potential final results and said, well, gosh, if this goes this way, we're going to be out of all this money. And each side could say that.
Right.
And so earlier this week, they came to an agreement, which we don't yet know what the terms are, but they came to an agreement to settle the $155 million spat between the conferences.
And from what we understand, it's going to be divvied out between the teams there, but not to the newcomers.
No,
right?
it doesn't affect North Dakota State per se directly. NDSU is not going to get any of this money because they weren't in the conference when all this went down. In fact, they had to pay $12.5 million just to get in the conference.
Right.
But this, like UNLV and Air Force are the 2 most coveted remaining members of the Mountain West, and the Mountain West and Commissioner Gloria Nevarez wanted to make sure that they didn't leave. And so they promised UNLV, I think, 25% of whatever the final sum is going to be here.
Yeah.
And so if it's 50%, let's say, that's what? Almost $80 million. So then UNLV would get 25% of that, which comes out to whatever, 20-some million dollars. Air Force got the same deal so that they wouldn't leave.
Right.
To
keep it a desirable place.
To keep it a desirable place for those schools, which are desirable to other conferences, including the Pac-12, by the way. In UNLV's case, they gave them a bigger slice of the pie. We don't know right now what that final number is. Chris Murray, who covers the Mountain West and the University of Nevada for Nevada Sportsnet, guessed through his sources that it's going to be somewhere around $82 million, $82.5 million that the Pac-12 is going to end up paying the Mountain West in a lump sum.
I think what's crazy, and you wrote about it too, is just you mentioned those dollar amounts, $82.5 million, $155 million. This is a whole different world than what North Dakota State's used to.
And that's why I find it comical when whether it's coming from Grand Forks or it's coming from South Dakota or it's coming from wherever in FCS, that there's people saying, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. It's not that big of a move. Oh, it's the same type of teams. It is not. Nobody is saying that the new Mountain West, particularly with what's left over, nobody is saying that it's the SEC or the Big Ten. No, nobody's saying it's even the American Conference. I don't think anybody's even saying that it's the Pac-12, the new Pac-12. But to say that it's the same as the Missouri Valley Football Conference or it's the same as FCS, it is not even close. And if college athletics are all about money these days, and in some ways that's what it's all about, then all you have to do is look at the numbers involved with everything NDSU is doing by going to the Mountain West, and you can surmise in 3 seconds that you're not living in the same world anymore. You're not in the same neighborhood. I've gotten into looking up the tax filings for some of these conferences. They're publicly available. The Missouri Valley Football Conference, which we all, I think, largely agree has been the best FCS football conference for a number of years. By the way, whether that still holds now that NDSU is gone, is going to be an interesting thing to see. I would say maybe the Big Sky is the better conference, but we'll see. We'll see. The The Missouri Valley Football Conference's total revenues in 2023, total revenues for the entire conference, $1.9 million.
Jeez.
I mean, that's not a lot of revenue.
Right.
Media rights fees for the Missouri Valley Football Conference in 2023, $70,000. It's just it's a great FCS conference. It was great to NDSU for 20 years. I'm not knocking it at all. It's still going to be a really good FCS conference just because of the presence of the 3 Dakota schools, frankly. But it's not the same neighborhood. It's not the same city.
Nope.
It's not the same state. It's not the same country. It's not the same universe as the world in which NDSU resides now, where the revenues for the Mountain West in 2023 were nearly $100 million. It's all sports, but $100 million compared to not even $2 million.
Yeah,
that's not the same thing.
That's apples to acorns right there. That's wild. That's a lot of money, and that's the stuff that fans should be on the lookout for now. Mountain West news coming out. Speaking of which, yesterday, did you see that's 100 days out from the college football season?
I did.
Dom was reading off some of the games that are coming up in now 99 days. UND and Long Island, and EIU and Murray State, Youngstown and Mercyhurst, and Maine and Towson, and Central Arkansas and UT Martin. Does that get you excited for the college football?
That does not get me excited for college football. It does not. And I've been the guy out front on this in the media saying that NDSU needs to move to FBS. By the way, my dentist yesterday, my substitute dentist, my real dentist is my usual dentist is on. He wasn't there yesterday, but my substitute dentist came in, and I'm in the chair, and I've had the technician in my mouth for an hour, scraping my teeth and everything else. He comes in. First thing he says to me, Mike, are you still on cloud 9 because of NDSU going to the Mountain West? I said, no, Doc, I'm still on cloud 18 because of NDSU going to the Mountain West. And that list that you just read right there is one of the reasons why. And NDSU was in the same boat until they got extremely fortunate on February 9th and got the invite. But they were, the opener for NDSU was going to be Incarnate Word, which I have heard the game that Incarnate Word was trying to get out of for months. They didn't want to play the game. But that was going to be NDSU's first game this year. Then it was going to go to East Tennessee State. Then it was going to be Austin P. Then it was going to be
totally
just some other. And the point is, that's what FCS is. Okay, that's what it is. And that's the games that NDSU could get because a lot of teams just didn't want to play them. But frankly, there's not a lot of options out there anymore for good non-conference games in FCS. The options for non-conference are Montana State that are interesting, I mean.
Right. But what's the likelihood of getting that?
Maybe Tarleton is interesting because everybody thinks that they're some sort of juggernaut. Maybe Cal Davis is interesting. Other than that, in FCS now, what's left? I mean, that list is
absolutely.
That list is what it is.
South Dakota State, New Haven, Stetson, right?
Stetson is the one.
New Haven's on there as well.
Stetson. I've written this about their non-conference schedule at home. I've written it about UND's first 7 games. I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
Absolutely.
And so you can be from one of those schools, a fan of one of those schools, or even from those schools, and say, well, NDSU, it's not that Mountain West isn't that big of a deal. Look at those games and go, I mean, is anybody excited about those games?
Just wait for 99 more days, and then you can see Youngstown and Mercyhurst and Maine and Towson. That'll be a fun one. Let's break. A couple more minutes left to go with our guy Mike Mcfeely here. We'll step aside when we come back. You want to chat a little basketball here?
Sure.
For the final 10 minutes? We'll get to that when we come back.
Wemby!
Yeah, pretty good ball player. Hot Mike returns after this. Couple more minutes left here with Mike Mcfeely on this Wednesday morning. I got a question for you. What do you know about Point Loma Division II basketball?
Until NDSU signed a guy from there, I knew nothing about it. Apparently it's a Division II school. It had some 6'9" kid that is pretty good, and now he's going to be playing for NDSU. It's not unique to North Dakota State. Let's make that clear. And it has nothing to do with NDSU or Dave Richmond or Fargo or the Summit League. It's happening everywhere. But I do wonder how long these schools can sustain support when it's a new team. Literally,
Every
a new
single,
team every year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Dave Richmond, I think they have 9 new guys now.
We're up to 15 total guys with 3 returners, if that sounds right.
Yeah, and that's good for the kids for returning. Good for them. Thank you for I'll say it to every kid at every school that comes back.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming back to the school that recruited you. Good job. But I do wonder long-term how this is sustainable in terms of fan support and people giving money and things like that.
Yeah.
And again, UND, same thing. SDSU, same thing largely. USD, same thing. Every mid-major, same thing. New rosters every year because the kids either are going somewhere else in the mid-majors or they have their sights on the big paycheck at a P4 school, and that's all been hashed over 4 million times. But there's still support. I mean, you go to the games to work. I go to the games for both work and pleasure. And
it depends on the record at the time.
It depends on the record and the opponent.
Yes. Yep.
And those things are going to, the opponents aren't going to change largely. The record is, is going to change. But at what point do you just people say, I don't know any of these guys. I don't know any of them. I don't know any of these people.
I think that was the case for a good first half of the season last year. It took a little bit to get acclimated, to everybody because it was all brand new team.
That's not a knock on any of the players either. I mean, they're in the system. They're playing by the rules.
Right.
But I mean, Markai Strickland, I loved watching the kid play basketball. I loved the windmill dunks. But I mean, he was here for 9 months.
Yes.
And that's the world in which we live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Emil Skuda was here for 9 months.
Mm-hmm. And where's he off to now? Portland State, something like that?
I don't know. You lose.
Yeah, right.
But it's just long term. I think that could be an issue for mid-major college sports. And I'm not breaking any ground here.
No. And to Dave's credit, he for the last, let's call it 2 seasons now, he's taken a brand new team and has had success with them.
Yes, no, and again, it's nothing against him. It happens to everybody. And he has done a good job of adjusting to the new world and put together, I think he's learned some things in terms of, like you don't need to rush out and sign 8 guys in the first 2 days because there's plenty of guys out there that can play.
Right.
It's more important to find the kids who fit the culture and all those, the program and all those words. It's just that, it's mercenary basketball. It's mercenary sports. And it's the same way. The Mountain West, getting back to football, North Dakota State is going to have, I think more transfers on its roster this year than probably any other time. And that number kind of keeps growing. But if you look at the other schools in the Mountain West, other tthan probably Air Force, there's a lot of transfers. I mean, UTEP, Northern Illinois.
It is, yep.
UNLV. It's just a ton of transfers on all these teams, and it's mercenary college athletics,
that's the way it is now. Andrew Nagy is the man's name who transferred in or will transfer into North Dakota State. We'll talk about him a little bit more later on in the second hour of the show. Before I let you go, do you have who's going to win conference finals here? Is it San Antonio, Oklahoma City, or is it Cleveland Knicks?
The Cavs had a chance to make it a series last night, and they did not, and that's over already because there's no way you're coming back from that, I don't think. The other one's going to be fantastic. San Antonio, Oklahoma City, those are the 2 best teams. Whoever wins that series is going to win the championship, in my view. Although it's pro sports, it's 7 games, who knows. But, boy, the Spurs are good. Woo.
It helps when you have 7'6" or however tall he is. I don't know how you stop the guy.
But they got so many guys that you don't really think of, or that aren't like
fair.
all NBA guys that you go, wow. Like their 7th guy is fantastic. You're just going, my God.
I was really impressed.
And the Wolves are scrambling just to get 5 guys on the floor.
Well, exactly.
That could
with
play.
all the injuries and or not performing up to expectation. I thought that Castle guy for San Antonio was really good too.
Yes.
Like, who's that?
Yeah,
where did he come from?
Right. It's just this whole, and I watch a lot of NBA basketballs. I tell Dom every week. My wife and I, that's what we do in the wintertime when weather sucks around here worse than it does in May. is we watch NBA basketball. Like Castle and some of the other guys that play for the Spurs, it's like, I didn't even know that they were in the league. And they're just absolutely fantastic. Just great. And Oklahoma City's no slouch themselves.
Right. Well, defending champs. We'll see who pulls away with that.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Great player. I'm sure the man's the nicest man in the world. He could walk into this studio right now and somewhere an official would blow the whistle and call a foul on me.
Mm-hmm.
It's unreal. And I tweeted it out the other night. Not only does he get every call, but he expects to get every call. And in fact, he knows he's going to get every call. If he comes within a foot of a defender and goes like this, ooh, I almost fell backwards. That was close.
Watch out now. We don't have
that would have gone.
We don't have that. We don't have the funds for that.
It's a foul.
Yes, but he's the MVP.
But I mean, I used to complain about people whining about that. But as I've watched it this entire season, it's like, no, people are right.
Yeah,
he does get him and Brunson.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson
does the same thing.
Although he played a good game down the stretch yesterday for the Knicks, but
great hard-nosed player.
Yes.
But he just has to do like this and foul.
I think that's what turns at least me off a little bit from the NBA's stuff like that.
James Harden.
James Harden
who,
is
by the way,
example.
You and I could guard Jalen Brunson individually better than James Harden can defend anybody. Unbelievable.
You think so? That's a fair assessment. I would say that.
I could score 15 points on James Harden.
Okay, for that, I'm going to call a flagrant foul on you and kick you out of the show here.
Okay.
Congratulations on your sponsorship.
Oh, thank you.
Mike McFeely joining us on Wednesday.
Sunset Lanes.
The Sunset Lanes, proud sponsor of Mike's segments. We'll see you back next Tuesday.
Yes.
Normal time? All right. Mike McFeely joining us today. We'll take a break. When we come back, hour number 2 rolls on this Wednesday morning. We're talking track and field coming up next.
This is Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Back for hour number 2 on this Wednesday morning. Big thank you to Drew Trafton and Mike McFeely for joining us to kick off the day. Now time to turn our attention over to some track and field conversation. As I told you at the beginning of the show, we are making our way to Bismarck later on this afternoon for the North Dakota High School State Track and Field Championships over at the Community Bowl in Bismarck. Really looking forward to this. We got a full slate coming up starting tomorrow, Friday, and then, of course, on Saturday, which is an action-packed day with a lot of trophies being handed out. I figured, who else could preview this state track and field event better than our next guest, who is a newly minted track analyst, or will be, I should say, and that is longtime Bismarck High track and field head coach and Hall of Fame coach Darrell Anderson joining us here on this Wednesday morning. Darrell, first of all, appreciate you for joining us today. I look forward to being in the booth with you over the next couple of days. This is going to be exciting, isn't it?
It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Competition is going to be epic, and I don't think the weather is going to be a factor. These kids in the field events and track events are going to get after it best they can, and it should be a really fun 2.5 days.
Absolutely. You mentioned the weather, expecting a little bit of rain potentially Friday, maybe Saturday. We'll see if that holds true or not. I'll get your thoughts on that in just a little bit. As I mentioned, you had an illustrious coaching career over at Bismarck High. You've been away from that for a couple of years now. How different is this week now that you don't have to worry about getting the team prepared for this? You can just go and sit back and relax.
Yeah, no, it can be just like a volunteer nuisance.
I think that's the best way to describe that. Was it pretty stressful back in the day getting ready for this week?
I wouldn't say stressful. I'd say anxious. Yeah. We always looked forward to it. And, without a doubt, it was the end of the season, and it's what you worked all off season for and what you tried to accomplish during the season. But, you got to finish it. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing. And so I think the concentration is there, and I think they're well prepared as they can be. And you try to make them relax, control their emotions, control their adrenaline, which they're going to have. and just try to make it, an everyday thing.
Right.
Not try to make it anything bigger than it isn't,
Absolutely.
So it's a fun, rewarding weekend, and I think most obviously look forward to it.
It's one of those things where the hay's in the barn. Now it's just time to show up and perform, and these athletes are going to do a great job of that. There's no doubt. You and I were talking off air. Last year was the first time that I made it to the track and field championships in Bismarck, and I was eyes were wide open. I didn't know where to look. There was stuff going on all over the place. There's thousands of people. You've been there plenty of times. For those that maybe have never been there or have never watched the state track and field championships, how would you describe all the controlled chaos that is going on?
Well, I think you just got to look at something that you want to watch.
Yeah.
Be specific about some of it. Otherwise, just sit back and really enjoy the talent that all these kids are going to bring. Both Class A and B, boys and girls, it's very good this year. Mm-hmm. And regardless of the kind of spring we had, these kids were resilient because they put up some really good numbers and efforts. And I think you just sit back and watch it. And a lot of people are, they've got their favorite teams. They've got maybe their favorite individuals. They come to watch somebody just to watch their talent and appreciate it. And, because there's a shot at a few state records that could be set.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was talking with some people here yesterday, and we were recapping what we saw last year. It seemed like every time we turned around, there was a record that was going down, and it seems like the level of athlete, not just in track and field but in all sports, just continues to develop into some really really amazing talents here in the state of North Dakota. Would you agree with that? Absolutely.
There's no shame in saying that. This is some of these kids. It's their favorite sport.
Yeah.
I mean, there's football players, basketball players. That's their favorite sport. But there are a great deal of number of kids that really, put track and field, paramount to them, and it helps their off-season training. And maybe if they're in another sport, they use that to benefit some of the skill that they need. Puts them on different stages. So they learn how to compete with people watching, and they handle the moment very, very well. They're in control of themselves. That's a big lesson that a lot of these kids are going through, will learn, have learned, and and look forward to what's next.
Off of that, you've had the opportunity to follow along with some of these athletes and teams over this last season. Have there been any names or schools that have really stood out to you as we get ready for this weekend?
Well, there's 6 Class B regions, and they all have their team champions. Mm-hmm. So I think they all think they're pretty confident. If things go right, they've all got a shot at it. And same with Class A, East and West. Legacy is kind of the top dog out west,
yep.
And Cheyenne out east. And the one thing I've noticed about this year, everybody's got somebody that's
mm-hmm.
significant.
Right.
There's not going to be a real dominant. Somebody's not going to dominate 19 events. There's a lot of good teams that are going to have some open events, and so they're going to rely totally on getting the maximum efforts they can out of their, blue chippers, so to speak. But
yeah.
but saying that, I think in 2015, Bismarck High, we won 10 events. We won 10 out of the 19 events and didn't win the state meet.
Wow.
So, we had our share of Jeffersons, but we didn't have enough Washingtons and Lincolns, so that just shows you that, depth has its privilege,
yep.
But it's not a guarantee.
And I think that's some of the best stories that we'll see over this next couple of days here. Just those athletes that go out and maybe they're going up against the heavy favorites and they don't necessarily have to win, but if they can outperform and place highly, that's points to their team. That's huge.
Well, there's always a surprise. The thing about track and field is there's no timeouts. Once you're out there, it's ready, set, go. You're in the ring. Mm-hmm. You're down the runway. You got 3 chances in field events, and another 3 if you make the final. And in track, a false start, a lane violation, a drop baton can take a favorite out of it in a heartbeat. So those are the the crashes that you always want to avoid.
Right.
But on the other hand, you just try to take care of your own business and keep your eyes in your own lane, and and that sort of thing.
Speaking of the stars, though, I want to get your thoughts on this. In the sprinter category, I think we're going to see three really, really talented sprinters for the final time here. Zayden Horn out of Legacy, who is one of the fastest guys in the state of North Dakota. Anya Olsen from Velva Drake Animus has been sweeping these events for years now, and same with Michelle G out of West Fargo. That three there, and there's plenty more, but that's a fast group that we're going to see in their senior season coming up this weekend.
Anya is ranked number 1 all time in the 100 and 200, and she fell at Howard Wood in early May.
Yeah,
and she has a collarbone injury, and what I was told is the doctors are going to give her an opinion either today or tomorrow.
Okay,
on whether she can compete. She's entered, but whether she competes or not remains to be seen. And if she doesn't, there's a pretty good fast sprinter from Rolette Wolford, Ella Peterson, that's pretty good. But you mentioned, Zayden Horn.
Yep.
He's under the state record already.
Yeah.
Weston Dressler is, a Hall of Famer himself, 10.44 in his state meet in 2004. And Zayden has run 10.27. A little bit of a wind aid, but legit, he's all over that record. He could very well have it, and he's a threat to get it in the 200 as well.
Right.
So those are some outstanding sprinters, and Michelle Guy as well. She's especially tough in the 400, but she'll make her mark. They're competitive kids. They're all critical to their teams.
Right, and those are just a sliver of some of the great athletes we're going to see over the next couple of days. Again, Darrell Anderson joining us. He is our new WDAY track and field analyst. He'll make his debut this weekend. Really looking forward to that. Before I let you go, is there a favorite event of yours that you like watching at this track and field championship?
Well, I love the relays.
Yeah.
I mean, because it gives the most kids an opportunity to be a part of the team and the points and getting on the podium. So I always love the challenge of relays. You can use some different kids. You always have a really talented kid in a relay. He or she may not have the individual mark, but once they get in a relay, they're just a different runner. And so those kids are critical, and every team's got one or two of those. So I love the relays, but being on the track my whole career, I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of field events.
Yeah.
But, we walk around. I'm fidgety. I don't sit still very long. So, I was all over the place. Between the pole vault, the jumps, and the throws, there's always somebody that you don't mind watching or look forward to watching, even if they're not on your particular team. It's all good. But, I grew up a distance runner, so obviously the distance races are my favorite. They're the ones that have the most challenging spring. They're the ones that, if you go around the track more than once, you got to deal with weather a lot. They don't get the benefit of, they can't turn the mile around, So, I mean, basically, when you coach, all 19 events are your favorite.
That's a good way to put it. Do you have a favorite memory out of all the times you've been at the state championship? What stands out to you in that category?
Well, there was that run we had, but I'll be really honest. The first state title meant the world to me in 1991. I started in 1989 in track, 1980 in cross, but 1989 in track. And, Dickinson had our number. And then in 91, we finally got a win. And then we kind of battled out with Red River for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And won a couple more. And then the run of 2004, to 2015, 11 straight. That's unbelievable. And I remember every one of those kids, all their efforts. And then, but to be honest, when they, we went away for a little bit there, and when they won it again with Jeremy Schrader and Scott Reichenberger, when they won it again a couple years ago, that meant the world too. So I think they're all special. And, not just when you win, but, sometimes you just see the efforts.
Right.
Because when a kid improves, that's the maximum performance. When you exceed expectation, that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
And when you see that doesn't matter if somebody went from a non-placer to 8th or, 6th to 3rd or something to 1st. I mean, those are all special, but you make the podium, it's a special place. And, and this weekend we'll identify a lot of talented kids.
There's no doubt about that. Again, Darrell Anderson, longtime coach over at Bismarck High, joining us. He will be in the booth with myself for the State Track and Field Championships. This was great. I appreciate you taking time this morning and helping preview what we got coming up this weekend. I'll let you go. I know you're busy getting ready for this, and we'll see you in a couple of days.
You bet. Keep your eye on some of these Class B field events. They're going to be pretty good.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Darrell Anderson joining us on this Wednesday morning. Appreciate it. We'll see him on the broadcast here on Friday. A lot of great events coming up over the next couple of days. As we mentioned, it starts tomorrow. Officially, the track events really get going at 4:30 tomorrow. 4x200 relays, the prelims for that, the 3,200-meter final is at 5:15. The field events tomorrow start at 3 and pretty much run throughout the conclusion. We got long jump and girls A, discus going tomorrow, high jump, shot put, pole vault. More long jump, discus, high jump, and shot put in both AB boys and girls. So that's coming up tomorrow. Friday is another busy day. Hurdles, 300-meter hurdles, 100-meter dash, 1,600-meter final, 400-meter dash, the prelims for that, 1,600-meter final for Class B. You name it. It's all going on. To help with our coverage schedule here, we will start web streaming tomorrow at 3 o'clock. That puts us right at the national anthem, and then things will get going pretty much right after that. On Friday, we are on WDAY Extra. You can catch all of our whip-around coverage, if you will. We will try to keep track of everything that has been going on, is going on, and all across the Community Bowl, which there's plenty to see. We will hit the air 1 o'clock on Friday on WDAY Extra. But the beauty of all of this is, say if you only care about the shot put and all you want to do is watch the shot put, you can go to WDAY Plus and you can watch the live stream there with the subscription, and you can watch each specific event, the whole thing through, which I think is really cool. And I don't think a lot of states do that, or a lot of people have the capability to do that. Really, wall to wall, you're covered every inch, whether it's on WDAY Extra with myself and Darrell Anderson, who you just heard from, who is a wealth of knowledge. Really looking forward to working with him and hearing some of his stories over the next couple of days. But you can catch us there on WDAY Extra, or you can watch anything you want to on WDAY Plus. Each event has its own specific stream there that starts before we hit the air on Friday and on Saturday. And, of course, Saturday, that's the day filled with a bunch of finals. 300-meter hurdles, 100-meter dash, 4x200 finals, 400 finals, 100 and 110-meter hurdles, the finals there, 200, 800, 4x100, and then, of course, all the field events as well. Saturday's a really fun day. So really looking forward to that. Dom will give you another rundown of this coming up tomorrow. There you see it, WDAY Extra and WDAY Plus. That's your places to be for the upcoming State Track and Field Championship. With that being said, we are due for a break. Let's step aside. When we come back, touch on a couple other things. A reminder for you, coming up at the bottom of the hour, Alec Ausmus, our friend from KSTP, will join us, and we'll bring back the St. Cloud Power Hour. That's coming up as this Wednesday morning edition of Hot Mike continues. Back on this Wednesday morning, Alec Ausmus from KSTP set to join us in just a couple of minutes. I wanted to circle back on part of the conversation we had with Mike Mcfeely in hour number 1, and that was that North Dakota State men's basketball announced today, or Dom put it out on inform.com, that a new transfer is coming in from Division II Point Loma, the Pac West Player of the Year in Andrew Nagy, a 6'9" big man who put up 15 points per game. This is all the video I could find this morning on late notice, so apologize for the vertical film, but you can see that he's a ball player. Last season, 15.5 points per game, and pretty impressive. Point Loma 27-6 last year. They fell in the Division II Sweet 16. As I mentioned, Nagy was the conference player and newcomer of the year, who shot 62% from the floor. Pretty good. This is actually his second time in the Division I ranks. He started his career at Long Beach State and then made his way to Point Loma, and now will make his way to North Dakota State. So after spending his entire life in California, he'll have to readjust to life in the Midwest and learn what that's all about. Also a 36% shooter from three-point range, which never hurts. So Dave Richmond strikes again, and his squad doing a really good job on the recruiting trail with the transfer portal after a brand new team pretty much coming in this year. A lot of new guys, just 3 returners. Andy Stefanowicz, the lead man on the show, if you will, the returner with the most playing experience for North Dakota State, get some more help here. And I tell you what, they've gone with size. They're getting size for this upcoming year's roster, Nagy being at 6'9". If you want to learn more about him, you can check out Dom's article on him on inform.com. With that being said, let's take another pause. When we come back, Alec Ausmus will join us. A lot of stuff happening in the world of Minnesota sports, including the NFL Draft, announcing it will head to Minneapolis. We'll talk about that when we come back. Well, whenever you see the 2025 Green Bay Draft mini helmet on your screen, that must mean that there is some breaking NFL draft news that we should touch on. That is Eric's favorite helmet, by the way. Wanted to make sure he got that on camera. Also, since it is a rare-ish appearance of me hosting, we have to bring back the St. Cloud Power Hour with our guy Alec Ausmus from KSTP. How you been, man? I haven't seen you in a while.
Really good, really good. I presume you have a Packers fan.
Yes, we do.
A cohort there. Wow.
Yes, we do. And he'll let you know about it. He was doing that the whole commercial break. So speaking of the NFL Draft, I wanted to pick your brain on this. Announced recently that the 2028 NFL Draft is making its way to Minneapolis. Now, I have some questions on this. First of all, I want to get your reaction, and my other question that I'm more curious about, where are they doing this thing at? I don't know how you fit that many people in town.
I think everybody is sort of scratching their heads on that. So there is that. It's about 4 acres worth of land right in front of US Bank Stadium. There's some grass. There's some plaza-like pavement. It's not, when you look at 2 years ago with Green Bay, this last draft in Pittsburgh, that were massive crowds, hundreds of thousands of people, record-setting every year. Roger Goodell said yesterday that in Pittsburgh was a new record-setting crowd. I'm sure they said something similar the year before when it was at Lambeau Field. Where are all these people going to fit, especially outside US Bank Stadium? It's going to be interesting. Now, we did also hear yesterday that the Vikings TCO facility in Eagan isn't going to be the primary site, but there will be some watch party-like things there.
Okay.
And it sounds like Mall of America will also have some of the festivities. So are you packing all hundreds of thousands of those people in front of US Bank Stadium? No. I mean, I think some of the numbers are compiled together from some of the watch party sites. But also keep in mind, US Bank Stadium, for those that have been there, they have the large glass doors, glass windows that open out front. Maybe some of it bleeds into the stadium. Now, Minnesota and in Fargo, everyone up your way understands this. April isn't exactly South Beach,
right? Exactly.
On spring break.
Yep.
I know it worked at Lambeau 2 years ago in Green Bay in April. You never know what the weather is going to be like, but obviously here in Minnesota, there could be snowflakes. And I think that's where, when the Super Bowl was here, what was that, 2017?
Yep.
Somewhere in there, Carson Wentz, the Carson Wentz-less Eagles, but Carson Wentz wins a Super Bowl ring that year. That was one of the biggest complaints from people. Not that the stadium, not that the facilities was anything wrong. It was the weather. Football fans that time of year, February, obviously for the Super Bowl, but even into spring, they want that warm weather spring break. And we obviously can't guarantee anything close to that.
Right.
But hey, the Minnesota Sports and Events Committee, they do a great job bringing big-time events, Super Bowls, Final Fours, big concerts. I mean, they do a great job bringing economic boosters into Minneapolis, into the Twin Cities. So I think the Twin Cities won't have an issue hosting this event at all. But I'm with you. I'm curious, where does this fit?
I just did a quick Google search, and that draft that was in Green Bay, 600,000 total over the 3 days. So that's a ridiculous number. I just can't believe how much of a spectacle the NFL draft has turned into. We are long past the days of this being held in a ballroom and nobody really being there to watch it. This is completely taken off.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, football in America rules. I mean, it literally almost has every day of the week. I mean, it's just, there's something. I mean, there is truly, I mean, is there really an off season? Sure.
No,
we're not going out to Vikings practice on a daily basis right now, but it doesn't ever truly feel like the NFL sleeps. And I do think now, those of people that have been to Lambeau Field, and I will say this, yes, I am a Vikings fan. I grew up a Vikings fan, but I worked in Wisconsin for 5 years. I've been to Lambeau Field a million times. They tailgate like nobody else. I mean, it is some of the best tailgating by Lambeau Field, and that was a perfect area to host an event like this, where it's hundreds of thousands of people essentially standing outside watching a jumbotron or a big screen. It'll be interesting, man. If they can make it work here, it just check another box for what multi-purpose things can happen here in the Twin Cities. So I think most people are optimistically curious how this is going to play out.
Luckily, they have a couple of years to figure it out. I just can't believe that many people will show up to watch a guy read something off of a postcard, but that's where we are. That's why football is great. Speaking of the Vikings, schedules came out not too long ago. Was there anything that jumped off the page to you that excited you about the Vikings schedule coming up?
Well, there's 9 home games, not counting the neutral one in neutral site in Mexico City. So 9 home games, that's a plus. And then it seemed like, I don't remember all of the games, but the first, 5 or 6, I know it's Green Bay, Chicago to start. But it seems like best case scenario, if the Vikings can start 4-2, 5-1, I mean, I know, that's easy to say that, but the middle gets kind of tough. I mean, the heavy hitters are in the middle. Weeks 8 through 11. I think the bye week is week 6.
Let's count 7 in there. I'm a Colts guy, so let's say 7 through whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Yeah, but my point is, though, the importance of, and you could say this about any team, but just there is a little bit of importance to start strong for this Vikings team. In 2 division games right off the top, Green Bay and Chicago, the whole division's good. I mean, it's just amazing what the NFC North compared to the AL Central that we're kind of looking at right now with baseball. It's the Vikings are in a really tough division. The Twins aren't, but it's going to be tough you want to start strong with this Vikings schedule. I mean, optimistically 4-2 would be, I think, a pretty good start. And just, there's so many question marks with, Sam, are you locked in on Kyler Murray as the starter?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I lean that direction, but it sounds like this is really J.J. McCarthy, and I do think Kevin O'Connell has a lot of trust in Carson Wentz. But it does kind of feel like may the best man win.
I agree with that, and I agree you should let the young gun continue to have a chance. But when you bring in a guy like Kyler Murray's pedigree, and granted he's been down a little bit over the last couple of years, it's kind of mind-baffling to me to just throw him on the bench right away, knowing what he has done in the past. Is it the same Kyler Murray? No, but maybe there's still some of that in there, and I think I would rather have that than J.J. McCarthy as of right now.
Completely agree, and there's some good Juwan Jennings that they signed as the wide receiver number 3. I mean, just Kyler Murray has some options on this offense. Kevin O'Connell, if that reputation of him being this quarterback resurrecting coach, I think that took a little bit of a hit last year.
I think so.
And it might be able to bounce back a little bit with Kyler this year, but I don't know. Training camp's going to be fun. It's not, to me, it's not a foregone conclusion 100% that Kyler Murray is your starting quarterback. It's probably 60-40, 70-30. I could get on that, but we'll see. I'm excited. Football season's always fun when that starts to creep in.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Again, Alec Ausmus from KSTP down in the Twin Cities joining us here on this Wednesday morning. Want to get your thoughts on a couple of other things before we let you go. Twins made some big news. They fell yesterday in a low-scoring game, 2-1 to Houston. But I think the bigger news around the organization was that Royce Lewis is going down to AAA St. Paul Saints, and also Ryan Jeffers is on the injured list. What have you heard about these two developments?
Royce, yesterday we heard from Twins GM Jeremy Zoll, and it essentially is Royce needs a reset, and they're hoping that comes in St. Paul. There was no timetable given how long Royce could be down in St. Paul, but it's bad. And I am not selling my stock on Royce Lewis just yet. Like, it's in there. The problem is this year, yes, he did spend a brief stint on the IL, but overall, Royce has been pretty healthy. Like, he's been, up until now, he's been in the lineup on a fairly regular basis, and he's striking out. He's swinging at really bad pitches. I mean, these are ugly strikeouts, and something's not clicking. He had a really bad error on Saturday that allowed my Milwaukee to go up on the Twins. I mean, 3 of the last Twins losses have been 1-run games. 2-1, 2-1, 3-2. Like, and it's tough because everyone loves Royce. I mean, there was a stretch there where it looked like he was going to be the face of the franchise, and that ship hasn't completely sailed yet. But it's just what happened. I mean, it's just 2 years ago he was those home runs he hit in that series, the playoff series against Toronto. I have goosebumps even just remembering it. I was there. So I hope there's a successful reset for Royce. They talked about even sending him down to Florida, Fort Myers, to work more specifically with coaches, but they decided that St. Paul was the best option. So maybe, in my opinion, he's not going to be there forever, depending how things go. What was the other one? Ryan Jeffers.
Yes.
What are the odds of this? If you can see, your listeners might not be able to see it, but he breaks this bone.
Is that where the hamate bone is? I've been trying to figure that out all day.
It's very common with a bat or a club swinging it.
Okay.
And Ryan Jeffers breaks his bat, falls a ball off, breaks his bat on Sunday, and breaks that bone. And he comes out of the game like 3 pitches later, and now he's out 6 to 8 weeks. He was on pace for an all-star season. Potentially, Ryan Jeffers was going to be an all-star catcher at the way things were trending. This is a contract year for Jeffers. Like, what does that do to trade value? What does that do? Do the Twins have a chance to even bring him back now that the last kind of known thought of him was trending at being an all-star catcher? And if that all-star, or when the trade deadline creeps a little closer, is Ryan Jeffers, even though he missed 6 to 8 weeks, there's got to be a team out there in the hunt that needs a power-hitting catcher. And it's kind of a bummer that the timing of this. What injury ever has good timing?
Right, exactly.
But in typical Twins fashion, this was a 1-2 gut punch with Royce Lewis not playing well, and Ryan Jeffers getting hurt. But hey, they're a game and a half out of the wild card. As crazy as that sounds, I mean, they are still, in ways, fighting for a successful season.
We'll see if the Twins can turn it around. It just seems like whenever this news comes around, it just continues to be the knockout punch, time in and time out again. A couple of minutes left with you. Just real quick, I want to get your thoughts on how the Wolves and the Wild ended their season. To me, I hated how the Wild, that series ended. I hated it. The Wolves is one thing when you're going up against Wemby. It is what it is. What did you take away from those two?
Let's start with the Wolves. The Timberwolves they're not just a step behind Oklahoma City and San Antonio. It is clear they're a full stride behind. And I think what we're learning in this playoff series, look, most people knew Wemby was a good basketball player, but I think what we're learning across the NBA is he's a problem. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a problem. What other player do you try to go get? What other player can possibly match up against Victor Wembanyama right now? Look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 2-time MVP, like overall pound for pound, like Anthony Edwards can match up against a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You don't have anything. Nobody does. Nikola Jokic maybe, but he's not leaving Denver, but I'm just saying there's not another body. So but you need shooters.
If it's not Gobert and if it's not Chet Holmgren, I don't know who else in the league is going to be able to do it. Yes.
Isn't it amazing the other night for game 1 of the Western Conference Finals right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets his MVP trophy, but by halftime of that game, Shai isn't even the best player on the floor. It's Wemby. It's just amazing how quick that changed. So, long story short, the Timberwolves realized, we talked to President of Basketball Operations Tim Conley yesterday, it's pretty obvious some moves need to be made. I think Julius Randle is gone. I hate to say it, but Jaden McDaniels isn't off the table. I mean, Tim Connelly has shown he's not afraid to pull the trigger on a big-time trade when he traded Cat. I mean, remember that trade for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo? That was days before the season was going to start, and Karl Anthony Towns got traded. So, and the Wild are similar, all right? Yeah. The Wild are in a similar boat in that you have the best team this franchise has ever had, and they were good. There was a lot of really good things with this Wild team this year, but you're a step behind. I mean, Colorado and probably Carolina are going to the Stanley Cup, and I would be shocked if Colorado doesn't win the Stanley Cup. They just had ways of playing the Wild strategically that they had Quinn Hughes even set up a few times. Kirill had moments where he looked like he was getting set up and had really bad decisions with the puck. Matt Boldy was irrelevant many times in that Avalanche series, but you can't give up a 3-goal lead in a game you have to win for the wheels to completely fall off. So
no doubt.
I'm not a moral victory kind of guy, Sam, and I just feel like a lot of people with the Wild are like, well, they got out of the first round finally. Well, that's not going to cut it.
Right. Need more soon. Alec, I appreciate it. Always great to talk with you. Best of luck on everything you got going on down there in the Twin Cities, and we'll chat with you soon.
All right, the St. Cloud Power Hour. We'll see you next time.
Love it. Alec Ausmus from KSTP joining us on this Wednesday morning. We got to take a break. A lot of good information there. We'll step aside, what to watch, and we'll get out the door here on this Wednesday morning coming up next. Always great chatting Twins, Vikings, Wolves, and Wild with our guy Alec Ausmus from KSTP. Thankful that he could spend a couple of minutes with us this morning. With that being said, we're almost done here on the program for today, so let's get into our what to watch for Wednesday night. I should say Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday night because the Twins have an earlier game today against the Astros. Game 3, 12:40 first pitch. You can find that on Twins TV. Also later on tonight, Thunder and Spurs. Game 2 of that series, 7:30. It's on NBC. It's also on Peacock as well. Also later on tonight, the Avalanche taking on the Golden Knights, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Plenty to catch up on later on this evening. A lot of stuff happening, there's no doubt. And again, North Dakota High School State Track and Field coming up this weekend. We'll be live on WDAY Extra Thursday and Friday. Live all 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday on WDAY+. Wanted to mention, give you an update on North Dakota State golf before we go. They are, it's a tough sailing right now. They're out of the picture. You see the scores there. Arizona at -37 as a team. Unreal. They shot -24 as a team in day 2. North Dakota State is at the bottom of the list here at +15. So it's safe to say they're not going to advance to the national tournament. Top 5 individuals that are not on the top 5 teams have an opportunity to go. Right now, Rylan Petrie is one over at like T36 right now. Not looking too good unless he comes out and shoots like an 8 under round, which is out there. I don't know if Rylan has that in him or not. It'd be sure cool if he did to punch his ticket to that. But that's where North Dakota State golf stands right now as their regional wraps up today. With that being said, want to say a big thank you to Drew Trafton, Mike Mcfeely, Darrell Anderson for joining us as well. Great to chat with him, and for Alec Ausmus for giving us some time here this morning, talk about everything going on in the world of sports. Dom will be back from his chaperoning event at his field trip. He'll be back tomorrow. I will see you next on Friday on WDAY Extra at the Track and Field Championships. We're heading up to Bismarck after that. I'll be back here in the big chair next Monday as well. So until then, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here soon.